Hello there, welcome to The Price of Music, brought to you by Music Ally. If you want an easy guide to what's going on in the music industry and how it all works, then here we are, looking at the finances of the music biz, whilst also bringing you stories and comments from the pop business in the last week. He's Stuart Dredge, I'm Joe Sparrow. Let's dive straight into Stu's big number, which is a big number that caught our eye this week. Stu, what is it this week?
Yeah, I'm going back to the biggest of big numbers.
Good.
Bigly numbers. 1.124 billion. Which has rather one too many things off decimal point that I like in a billion. But this is how many streams the biggest song of 2026 so far has globally.
What is this song?
Well, if you're a parent, as you are,
Yes,
the parents will know it well. It's Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters, the Netflix show, which came out in July last year. So it's the biggest song of the first half of this year, but it came out a year ago.
So presumably it's been the biggest song for 18 months now. Now, remarkably, I've not heard this song. I don't think my child is old.
You've got a daughter.
I know.
What's going on?
She's protected from the internet.
Netflix.
So I went and listened to this Golden song. And to my old ears, it just sounds like a generic pop song, to be honest.
Well, I think it's good. I think, K-pop Demon Hunters, I think everything about it makes people who don't know it raise their eyebrows and go, ugh. But the music, they've done a good job with the music. They've got some proper songwriters in, some good singers, and the music is it's Frozen level, catchy earworm music for kids to sing. I think.
Yes, the quality is definitely there, isn't it? It just, and I could see that, from my very brief interaction with the K-pop Demon Hunters franchise, I can see how it would appeal to that same audience who love Frozen and the music and everything like that. So
yeah, but the interesting thing. So this is from Luminate's mid-year report. I should say the source, really, shouldn't I? So the big research company did their mid-year report, and they had this chart of the top songs of the year so far by streams globally. So Golden was top. It was only about 9 million streams ahead of Taylor Swift's "To Fate of Ophelia," which is also last year's track. And only 2 of the top 10 tracks came out this year, and both of those have a K-pop angle. So there's one BTS song, and there's also, do you know Tame Impala's "Dracula"? They did a remix with Jennie out of Blackpink. That's the other one. So it's interesting. Like, it seems whether you're a long evergreen hit or whether you're a new one, you need a K-pop star or K-pop.
I mean, the things with K-pop fans is that they are. How can I put this kindly? They're very focused on that niche, and they really wring it dry, don't they? They really love that genre of music. They love everything about it, and they will play it over and over and over again. So you and I, Stu, have been around the block a few times, and you wonder when it's going to all stop. The K-pop at some point will lose its luster, and people will move on to something else. But it doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon.
It will evolve, I suppose. I mean, actually, seeing Jennie collaborate with Tame Impala, that's an interesting thing, because that's she's moving out of K-pop into what do you call Tame Impala? A sort of whimsical dream Australian pop made by a man in a t-shirt.
I think they've carved out their own niche, haven't they? Well, let's see. But maybe that is the first rant leaving the sinking ship. You heard it here first, folks. Let's go on to the big stories this week. We've sort of intimated that this is coming for the last, I don't know, year. But now, half of all new music being uploaded to streaming services is now AI generated. That's over 50% of all the music being dumped onto DSPs every week is AI generated. But the music industry has, well, that's one thing to discuss on its own, but the music industry also has a new plan to respond to it, and it involves, wait for it, labels, but not the record kind of labels. Stu, let's start with this 50% figure. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, we saw it coming, didn't we? But this is from Deezer, which has made a habit of announcing its stats regularly. And it's more than half the music is thing. And this is like 90,000 tracks every single day on average uploaded to Deezer are AI generated. And then around 90,000 human made tracks.
Yeah.
And that's gone. I mean, the start of last year, 2025, it was 10,000 tracks a day were AI generated. So it's gone up 9-fold in a year and a half, which is kind of mirrors the rise of AI as a topic.
Which makes sense, doesn't it? Because there's so many great AI generated tracks out there.
Well, this is the thing. So this has been growing fast. Like the percentage of Deezer's uploads, and by the way, Deezer's saying this. It's kind of saying it's true for all streaming services. Like the same as Spotify and so on. So although it's been climbing, I think it was like 10% and 10,000 tracks a day a year and a half ago. but actually the amount of streams it's getting, so the share of Deezer's total streams isn't growing. It's like between 1% and 3%, and 85% of those streams are fraudulent. It's people using AI music to make a dishonest buck. So the more AI music is uploaded, it's not meaning that it's being listened to more, even collectively.
I mean, we discussed this a lot, right? And the thing I still can't understand is why are the DSPs allowing just these tracks to be just dumped onto their servers, right? Because if they're getting this much more music, they're obviously having to have 30% more servers or 40% more server space. So that's increasing, and that is not expensive, as that is expensive, as we've seen, from the rise of AI, and if 85% of it is fraudulent, what's the point? I just don't understand it. I mean,
this is the change, actually. So Deezer announced another thing this morning, which is that they're going to remove anything that's fraudulent, which I think everyone does. Spotify does that. But they're also, if an AI music track hasn't been played for 6 months at all, there's 0 plays, they're going to kick it off. And that's the first time I think a streaming service has said, we're going to kick off the stuff that no one is listening to, as well as the stuff that's fraudulent.
So all the bots need to do now is secure one play for their AI track, and it stays there. Is that what you're saying?
I've got this thing, because a few years ago, I released 2 albums of AI music, right in the early days when I was testing out. I think it was Boomy, it was called, which is a long history since. And I remember thinking, and it was saying, you can release it on Spotify. And I was like, you can't, surely you can't. So I did it to check it out. So I have 2 albums that I've never been fraudulent with.
No.
But equally, no one is listening to them.
Well, I was about to say, you haven't bought your yacht that's moored in Ibiza town yet. So
I've not even bought a paper boat. No.
Before we get into this labeling thing, riddle me this, Stu. I remember back in the pre-AI days, AI music days, that we sort of hit these landmarks of uploads per day. And we were getting closer to 100,000 a day. And then we got 100,000 songs a day. Now it's 120,000 songs being uploaded a day. But now you're saying 50% of the music being uploaded every day is AI, and that's about 90,000 tracks.
Yes.
So that implies that 90,000 tracks are human. So where's that 30,000 tracks gone?
Yeah, well, I think so. Part of it, I think, was AI was starting to come in around then, and no one was counting it.
Okay.
But I mean, there is maybe a small fall in the amount of human music, which, to be honest, 90,000 tracks a day of human music is still too much music.
I mean, of course, that isn't new music being made every week, is it? They're dumping old catalog music on there, and old TV theme tunes and all sorts of rubbish.
Yeah. But I don't think we're quite yet at the stage where humans are giving up, and so there's less human. But it is. I mean, it's an absurd amount of music. To listen to all of this would take you so long. But it is, so I think Deezer's, the fact that Deezer's now saying we don't want to have it dogging up our servers if no one's listening to it kick off, that'd be interesting, because that is something that I think the music industry would quite like Spotify and Apple and everyone else to do.
Yeah.
And like you say, there's kind of it's a benefit for them too.
Yeah.
I'm sure Apple can afford server space, but it's still a cost.
Yeah. Tell us about this labeling, which is like tagging, isn't it? So what is this labeling thing they're talking about?
Yeah, so this was announced while you were on your holidays.
Yes,
good. You went away and all these big things got announced, which is
you're welcome.
Was that planned?
Yes,
yes.
I coordinated with the industry. Yeah.
So this has been going for a while. This idea that actually, if you're a listener, if you're listening to Spotify or Apple Music or so on, you should be able to know if something you listen to is AI generated. And this came, remember when the first wave of things like the Velvet Sundown last year, the kind of fake band, and it didn't say this is AI, and some people thought it was real. So that's been going for a while, saying, okay, this should be labeled. And Deezer does that. Deezer tags things, says this is AI generated music. And Spotify and Apple have started doing that too. So the music industry has now come together and said, actually, we think there should be a standard system of labels, a bit like the explicit content badge that you get, like a standard that everyone understands, saying this is AI. And it's 2 labels.
Oh.
And I'll describe them. This is a brilliant podcast format.
Yeah, please.
One of them says AI in white capital letters inside a black box.
Right.
That means a song was either entirely AI generated, or the lead vocals were AI, or a key instrumental performance.
Okay.
So it's an AI made track.
A main part of it is AI.
Yeah. So capital letters, white, black box.
Yeah.
Lowercase AI in black text in a white box, positioned near the bottom in a way that makes my teeth itch, because I like things to be centered vertically and horizontally. Let's let them go with it. So small lookers. That means a song was AI assisted. So it's a human track. A human made it, but they used AI somewhere in the process. Maybe they used it for the drums, for mastering.
Okay.
So it's like a small lowercase AI. It's not AI generated. It's just
So that's a bit like an artist using a synthesizer. Like they've used it as a tool to make something themselves.
Yes, but it's a human endeavor.
Yeah.
So the idea is, this came from the US labels body, the RIAA, global labels body, the IFPI, and a bunch of other industry bodies. So it's come from the organizations of the music industry. It's not come from the record labels, although those bodies represent them. But it's also not come from the streaming services. And there were no streaming services involved in the announcement. It came entirely from the industry. And that's kind of the key point, because these labels only work if everyone says, yes, we'll use them. Spotify will use them, Apple will use them. And the problem is that quite a few of them have got their own systems already. So Spotify's been working on a system that involves you being able to say as an artist, we used AI for the mastering or for the this or that, and then it will show that in its metadata.
Right.
So this is the kind of challenge. Like this has been announced. These two badges have been shown off, but no streaming service has yet said, yes, we'll adopt this and we'll do it this time. So for now, it's kind of a notional system that isn't actually being used yet.
Lovely. The exact kind of fudging that the music industry is famous for. I tell you what, I'm going to project into the future a bit here. The vision I'm starting to have, having looked at a lot of different tech platforms and AI and things like that, is that we're going to start to have a sort of tiering of streaming platforms where you pay for the full pro service where you can listen to everything and you get enhanced features. You get a sort of a cheaper version where you get less features and maybe some adverts. You get a free or slightly cheaper paid version with more adverts, and then you get a totally free service that has only AI music on it, and you can do what you want with it. And I can sort of see that some people and businesses would go for the completely free AI generated one to sort of play in the background at, in their shops and whatever, or people who don't care about music and they just want something to listen to while they're vibe coding their latest, app or whatever. I don't know. It feels like there's a sort of marginal audience for all this AI rubbish, and people will listen to it. And while we're on AI music, while you and I were away in our static caravan in Rhyl, a story broke about Suno, which is the biggest AI making music service, and what it trains its models on. And this is something else that we have speculated about. So what has happened, and what do they train the models on, Stu? Can anyone guess?
Yeah, well, it's just on me playing guitar. It turns out they were just listening all the time. So this is like I said, an ongoing debate. Like, what was it trained on? And this has a very illegal implication, because two major labels are suing Suno, and they're trying to get it to say what it trained its model on.
Yeah,
because they want to know, and they've been actually trying to find that out. That's part of the whole process.
Yeah.
So this came from a technical news site called 404 Media.
Which is very good, by the way. It's worth subscribing and reading to this. This is a really good research and journalistic research-based website.
Yeah. And it was based on, which is where it's just slightly kind of, I'm uncomfortable with it. It's based on data from a hacker who basically breached Suno security and then shared the details with 404 Media. And there's a whole debate about, well, do you run stories based on hacked information, so on. But this looks like a smoking gun, because basically I think it's source code from Suno in 2023 and 2024. And there's comments in the source code alluding to YouTube Music and Deezer and Genius, the lyrics database, and then Freesound and Jamendo, which are two public music catalogs. So it kind of is essentially saying, this is probably traded because we wrote it in our code.
Yeah.
Which is not really a surprise. I would say a lot of the music industry assumed that Suno was trained on music from YouTube, because pretty much everyone seems to have trained the AI on music from YouTube, including YouTube.
Yeah.
Deezer was a surprise, and they won't be happy about this, I don't think. And then Genius's lyrics and Jamendo, which is one of these music catalogs, it's already suing Suno, saying, we think you trained on our music.
Right.
So in a way, this kind of confirms people already thought. Should I do the legal bit?
Yeah, please. Yeah, go
so
ahead.
Suno has said its models have been, quote, trained on publicly available music files and relatable metadata, which I think means related to that rather than relatable. You can really
really.
It just speaks to
really
me.
Feeling it. Yeah.
Accessible on third-party websites on the open internet, which is kind of this.
So wait a minute. So this is like me saying, I'm stream ripping from, so you can easily go to YouTube, right, which is publicly available. It's a public facing website, and you can listen to music, and it's free, right? And if you install an extension to your Chrome browser, or you just go to another website, you can paste in the link to that song, and that website will rip the song and dump it in your downloads folder. If I tried to say, oh, by the way, Universal Music, I've ripped a whole bunch of your songs from YouTube, and now I just listen to them without you getting paid anything, that wouldn't fly, would it?
Well, it's just there is this strain of thought, isn't it? If it's on the internet, it's fair game. Which, and the whole argument around these models is, well, hang on a minute, this is the cost of your business. You need to train it on music, so you should be paying us for the music, and you make money and we get money, and so on. So, yeah, it's kind of I mean, lawyers can have their say on whether this is a defensible.
Please do, folks. Please, if you are a lawyer and listening, I'd love to hear what you think.
but I think the key point here is that two major labels are still suing Suno, and they've been trying to get it to cough up information on what it trained on. So this report may end up filtering into their next moves legally. Or, and here's another theory, this coming out, it does look like a smoking gun. You know, if it smells like a smoking gun, if it looks like a smoking gun, that may actually nudge everyone towards a settlement. Suno may say, okay, we need to settle this now.
Oh, so that source code. Oh, you mean, did we train our model on music from the internet? Yes, we did do that. Yeah.
So there's an argument here. This could be bad news for Suno legally, but I suspect it may just be another nudge towards whatever the settlement is, and it maybe gives the labels a bit more leverage at the negotiating table.
Almost certainly. Now, let's get away from AI. The latest startup hoping to help artists make money directly from their biggest fans is, well, help me out here. So is it Loom or Lume?
I think it's Loom.
Loom. Okay, but that's Lume. It's got the backing of Lorde and a bunch of cool Kiwi artists. But is it the next big thing? And this is another one of those things we've been talking about a lot recently, which is these slightly smaller platforms that have the backing of big artists, and they're doing cool things to try and generate new income streams. We've been looking for this for a while, haven't we?
Yeah, and this is a fun story because when we originally wrote about it, sometimes my source for something is a press release. Sometimes my source is someone's written a story. Yeah, someone's too off. My source for this was Lorde, actual Lorde,
right?
Who dumped a load of demos from her last album online for fans. And in this post to company, she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to put them up on this new thing my mates are doing called Loom," which obviously made me go off and try and find it. I found it, wrote a piece, and then their CEO got in touch and said, well, "Yeah, we're launching. Can we tell you more about it?"
Oh, right.
And it's live. So Loom is an app. It's a mobile app. You can download it, and it sells you digital albums. Essentially, it sells you the music, but also extra stuff. So demos, extra tracks, behind-the-scenes video, photos, voice notes from the artist, essays. So kind of like a digital box set is how they describe it, which is a thing that's been tried before. Apple tried this a long time ago. And you'll pay roughly around the price of a standard CD, so like 13 quid-ish, they reckon, is a sweet spot for this.
Yeah.
And it's from New Zealand. So it's starting entirely with a bunch of independent New Zealand artists who will include Lorde. She's going to put her stuff on it later this year, I think. But they're going to open up to others around the world. But for the moment, it's kind of starting with local artists. But you can get the app around the world and buy the albums. But for now, the artists are from New Zealand. And they get to keep 80% of their sales. So when you buy an album from an artist there, they get. And we did an interview with the CEO, and he was saying that this came from them feeling that people aren't listening to albums as much. Like streaming is directing you towards listening to tracks, But artists still love making albums. And they also thought that a lot of the hype around superfans and superfan apps seemed to be about rinsing people's wallets, like how much you're taking for. And this is all driven by, well, actually, how can we get artists to do something really nice that fans will love, fair price, and share the money fairly? So it seems to be coming from a nice place.
Yeah, I mean, it is like you say, it's about addressing the sort of nice desires of superfans, which is, like if you go to the shop in the old days and you had two versions of the CD, you had the standard CD, and you had this one which comes with some stickers and maybe an extra booklet, and it's in a cardboard box that folds out. The fans of the band would spend the extra £4 and get that one, right? And it sort of seems, I did that, you did that, and it feels like it's sort of scratching that itch, and it's not saying right now go and buy 5 versions of the album and let's clear you out for the month.
Yeah.
But like just buy this little bit more, and it seems like a good deal for everybody. It's reminiscent of Cantilever, which we spoke about a few weeks ago, which is that UK based, was it Cantilever, the UK based startup that has all the indie label backing, and except you get sort of third party little articles written about 10 albums a month.
Yeah.
So it's sort of in that same area, isn't it?
Well, also, so I mentioned Luminate and their mid-year report earlier on. I mean, one of the other things they found was they were like a lot of people in Gen Z are buying CD albums now. That's a thing that's happening, a trend. But around half of them don't own a CD player.
Wow.
And this is partly about collecting something. Like CDs are collectible. That's the thing that I know. But it's also about, here's a way to put money in the pocket of the artist you like.
Yeah.
So I think Loom is also tapping into that idea of like, you like this artist, you could go and stream their album over here, but here is a way to pay them some money, get some extra stuff. But it's really about supporting them. So I think, it sounds like it's coming from the right place. Lorde's invested in it. It's got some good, and it's got the guy who co-founded Substack is also an investor.
Interesting.
And they alluded to sort of doing more stuff in the future. At the moment, it's selling you albums, but I think they want to do more stuff around community, like letting artists. But there's 2 things basically it lives or dies on. So first is, well, no, 3 actually. There are three Spanish Inquisition things. First, does it attract good artists? Like, it has to attract good artists. So some of these things have launched and just no interesting artists join them, so they die. So that's one thing. It needs to make sure it gets some really interesting, good artists popular. 2, can they bring their fan bases with them to the app? So can they, because that's your marketing really.
Yeah.
And 3rd, do fans actually want to pay for digital albums within an app?
Mm.
And of course, one thing here is that these albums live within the app. And if the app suddenly goes bust, what happens? Do you not have access to that stuff anymore?
Right.
That's one concern, I think, when it's a startup.
Yeah.
Some fans.
And I think that there's another sort of way of looking at this, or another way of delivering this sort of stuff to fans, which is there's a bunch of companies which you can buy a t-shirt at a gig and it has an embedded NFC code, and you tap it and it downloads an album to your phone and it counts as a chart eligible thing. So you get the album as a bunch of files on your phone. That's not going anywhere. It counts as a chart placement, makes you feel good, and you get a tote bag or a t-shirt or a button badge or whatever. So it like that one feels like the sort of real world version of this, doesn't it? So there's a few options now for people depending on what they want.
Yeah, put money into the pocket of the artist you like and get something in return that you like that doesn't feel like you're being rinsed.
What a revolutionary business model that is. Any other business? So not content with investing in hot new music startups, Lorde has also been giving a royals bashing, that's a pun, thank you Stu, to Meta and Spotify this month. Now, Meta and Spotify are used to getting a good old kicking, but why has Lorde been doing it?
Well, she's newly independent. She came to the end of a major label deal. And I think, like James Blake, she's quite enjoying. I mean, I don't think she's ever been that reticent in speaking her mind. But I think she's enjoying that fact that she can say whatever she wants about anything. And there's no label going, she shouldn't have said that. So the first, she was playing this festival in Madrid sponsored by Ray-Ban, who are Meta's partner making its AI smart spectacle sunglasses business. And she basically came up and said on stage, you don't know if someone's wearing sunglasses or if they're wearing those fucked up fucking, can I just say for the record, fuck the glasses. Don't get the glasses, not sexy.
Wow.
Which was that's kind of, but the fact that Ray-Ban was sponsoring this festival, I think it's rather wonderful.
They must have loved that. Get off the fence, Lorde. Tell us how you really feel about it.
I love the kind of, when you sort of just end up saying, you're so cross, you don't know the words, you just end up saying, fucked up, fuck.
Yeah.
So good on her. But then she came out Spotify. This is a bit more considered. This is like online.
Just on the same stage. Oh no, okay.
No,
later.
Online.
Okay.
And it's Spotify's got its about a song feature, which is kind of, it shows you a little card in the app saying, do you know about this song? Blah, blah. Like those kind of little factoids that you used to get on the chart.
Top to Pops too, yeah.
Did you know, blah, blah. Yeah. And essentially, and I think this feature is partly powered by AI because it's going out there and finding information and bringing it back. And I think it's presented as, hey, this is nice. Like, you don't have context for the music on Spotify. Now you do.
Yeah.
But it only works with accurate context. And I think in Lorde's case, I think there was one song, it talked about how she performs a song live. And she said, this is inaccurate. It's not the song I did that in. It's a completely different song.
Right.
But she also said, reducing a song to an AI-generated meaning right at the source feels like it limits free interpretation. At least make it possible for artists to opt out, which I think this is a bigger point, I think, that AI is being used to kind of summarize and contextualize artists' work. This is what so-and-so meant when they wrote this song. And some artists don't want to have their songs explained. They'd rather have listeners make up their own minds.
Yeah.
And so there's a little push and pull, I suppose. And what Lorde's saying is, well, I'd like to be able to say, I'd opt out of this feature. I don't want it have shown against my music.
Which is completely fair enough, isn't it? Like, I think, okay, so there's a difference between having your music written about in a dedicated, let's use an old reference, music magazine or a music website or whatever, and that is the role of that magazine to write about and opine on music. But if you're sticking it, if you're putting it next to the source and you're saying, hey, this is the context that you need, and it's right next to the music. There's two things from an artist's perspective, I guess. One is, like you say, they don't want to be contextualized. They want each individual to make up that context. Or it's inaccurate because AI is not accurate and doesn't know what the artist is thinking and is just sourcing it based on the thoughts and feelings of people on the internet, and the artist doesn't agree with that or want it either.
I quite like it. I mean, I think they should lean into the hallucinations, really. I'd love to present me with 3 facts, and one of them is like, this song was written while sat at the back of a canoe riding through the Amazon forest.
Yeah. Well, actually, it seems like that there's a good artist project out there, which is to seed a load of misinformation across the internet, wait for the AI to ingest it, and then all of your songs have just ridiculous stuff next to it. Like, this was made in collaboration with Daniel Ek in his remote cabin while we were having a bongo freak out for a week.
Wow. I mean, there are artists who spend their whole lives bullshitting in interviews.
Yeah, right.
Like, for fun.
Yeah.
Like, there were some artists who are just famously, they'll be asked the same question in 7 interviews and give a different answer each time just for lols.
Yeah.
And this is going to really mess up this kind of feature because if it picks the wrong one. So, but it's interesting. I think this is the wider thing. I think this is about artists saying, actually, I'd like my music, people to react to my music without being told what it's about and what to feel.
Yeah.
And I think there's something just from there. But thus far, I think Spotify removed that fact because it was wrong. Right. But there's no sense of it saying, yeah, actually, we'll let artists opt out.
But I mean, again, it should be just a blanket artist opt in and out, because there's no way that an artist has time to go through each one of these cards and vet them or correct them, is it? So they can just opt in and out. Talking of opting in and out, the Michael Jackson biopic called creatively Michael got, let's say, a mixed response from critics, which is a nice way of saying they thought it was a stinker, 1 out of 10, do not recommend all round. But at the box office, it's been a hit. And how big of a hit has it been?
It's been a very big hit, to the tune of $1 billion.
Wow.
Which is the biggest biopic ever. And the biggest ever film for Lionsgate, which made it bigger than The Hunger Games.
Really?
Yeah. Which, like talking to critics thing. So, Rotten Tomatoes, the film review site. Its critic score there is 38%, the average score.
Which is a stinker, right? That is a stinker score.
Its audience score is 97%. So it's one of those films that really is.
But hang on, wait a minute. We can totally accept the $1 billion box office as being solid data, right? But how to put this delicately? Michael Jackson fans tend to be very protective of Michael Jackson and are the kind of people who would brigade a site like Rotten Tomatoes and organize themselves and leave thousands and thousands of 100% scores to pull the score up to celebrate their hero, right?
But also, I think if you're going to see Michael at the cinema, I think the chances are you are a big Michael Jackson fan. So I kind of want to see it. I don't know about you, but like I want to see it like I want to see the Melania Trump documentary on Amazon.
Yes,
because I want to make up my own mind rather than just go with it's obviously rubbish because the critics said so.
I've made up my mind about both of those. Those movies, and I just want to hate watch them.
But this is genuinely like an enormous biopic, and so it's maybe there's 2 things I've been thinking about in relation to this. So one is the impact it's having on Michael Jackson's music catalog.
Right.
So he has currently got 102 million listeners on Spotify alone every month. He's like the 6th biggest artist on Spotify. And I looked this up a year ago in July 2025. He had 48 million Spotify listeners. So he's doubled his streaming audience on that platform. And that's basically this film. And then it also made me think about value of catalogs. So like, I don't know if you remember, I think it was 2.5 years ago, early 2024, Sony Music bought half of his catalog. And I think it was, the reports were saying like more than $600 million, which sounded like crazy money at the time. Like his catalog worth 1.2 billion. He's popular, but that was probably done. I think the movie would have been in development then. They would have known about it.
Yeah.
But maybe that looks like a really good deal now that this movie has made his catalog essentially streaming audience double.
So I have three thoughts.
Okay.
The first one is, I am firmly against the recent slew of big artist biopics because they're all rubbish. The Queen one is a stinker, right? But it was huge. So the Queen one was a famously troubled production. If you watch it, it's terribly made and edited. The story is completely contrary to the actual facts of the band's career, and it's the Queen for idiots, I would call it. But it was huge, right? And the Michael Jackson one is basically in that vein. And of course, it had to my second point, the movie itself was another troubled production, and notably reshot a load of scenes to replace scenes that addressed the very serious allegations against Michael Jackson, which apparently are going to be bumped into a sequel. I'd be interested to see if that actually happens now that they've seen this huge success around a story that paints him as a heroic figure. So, and then the third part is that Michael Jackson, let's put all the controversy aside for a second, his catalog really tapers off after about 1992.
Oh, you're going to be getting some letters.
Those Michael Jackson fans might be emailing me soon, but it does. The big beefy hits, the classics
after Dangerous,
right? So up until I would argue up until side 2 of Dangerous, where it really tails off. Like those 80s and early 90s hits are undeniable and brilliant, right? And that's kind of the period they've covered in this first movie. I'm desperate to see what the second movie is going to be about, because after that it was all very, very serious allegations, marrying Lisa Marie Presley, dangling babies off balconies, giant statues being sailed along the Thames, and just album after album of bunkers.
That's a lot of drama for a film.
I want to see that album, that movie.
So this is the thing that biopics, the tough thing, is that I think a lot of biopics now have the official involvement of the estate or the label or both. And they're very much protecting the legacy of the artist. So some of those things that are awkward or are unflattering are out, because the people in charge of it are the people who are the estate. And so you think, okay, well, a good biopic would not have the estate involved then. But if you want to use the music of that artist, you need to get the estate's clearance, I think. So if you wanted to do a warts and all biopic of a famous musician now, it would be difficult to do that with the music.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to go and say, we're doing this thing, actually we're covering all the the things that you don't want to have covered in a film. Can we still use the music, please? And of course they go, no. So it's a bind. Like, this is why I think biopics that get to cinemas now tend to be the ones that are officially kind of sanctioned.
Well, I don't want to talk about this too much, but it is another string to that bow of the recent approach to, let's absolutely make sure that this music that was big 30 years ago continues to be big now, and and make it bigger using other media. And where is the room for a new big Michael Jackson sized artist to emerge and fill that void and let him sort of gracefully sail off into the sunset, and whatever. Anyway, let's skip to, and finally, Stu, the Rolling Stones.
Talking of what the point you just made.
Rolling Stones, who have just released a new album, which is getting remarkably good reviews, by the way, and I've listened to it and is actually fine. The collective age of their 3 founder members is 243. And they're, you would imagine, exactly the right age to be now on Roblox, the platform famously used by young teenage children and below. Is this a good fit, and why?
I mean, I'd love to imagine the Rolling Stones going on Roblox. Keith Richards just like spend an hour on obstacle courses on Roblox.
Which button do I press?
I mean, so one, great grandchildren age, they'll have.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is actually interesting creatively. So the Rolling Stones and label Capitol Records got a bunch of Roblox creators, and this is not an abuse of the word creators. This is people who actually make things. They make games on Roblox.
They make the games on Roblox. Okay.
To reimagine the famous logo of the Rolling Stones for big tongue, big lips. So it's kind of like giving a new generation of visual artists a chance to mess around with their logo. That's cool. It's in the block, which is Roblox's own sort of world for music stuff, which is another smart move because the Rolling Stones haven't spent $1 million making their own Roblox game that then gets forgotten after a month.
Yeah, right.
So, they've been smart, which, financially smart is the Rolling Stones brand, isn't it?
Yes, Mick Jagger in particular is someone who apparently, when he opens his wallet, moths fly out. Allegedly.
And I'm not sure allegedly gets away from that. I think it's... And so you could you could wander around, you could buy virtual items, and there was a 2-day finale, which was quite a nice idea, flipping through different eras of the band's history. So like kind of a virtual performance type, exhibition. But so there's 2 schools of thought here. Like one is that Roblox is a platform mainly for children, or at least for young people who were children in Roblox and are still hanging out there for nostalgic reasons. Do they give a flying monkey's fart about the Rolling Stones? Possibly not.
No, maybe.
Second school of thought, this is exactly why the Rolling Stones should be in Roblox, reaching people who don't give a monkey's fart about them otherwise. Like it's this is the whole thing about streaming now. Like I keep getting these press releases about bands of a certain era, like anyone from the 90s backwards, really, stressing about how half of their streaming audience is now 18 to 34.
Yeah, right.
And so it's possible to reach younger people now through streaming, but you have to get them interested. And doing stuff on Roblox, doing stuff on TikTok, doing stuff on these platforms. It's a good idea. Like it seems like a mismatch of gargantuan proportions of Rolling Stones and Roblox, but you can tell this is like, well, we need to be somehow relevant for that generation, and we need to go where they are because we can't rely on them coming to Wembley Stadium and paying whatever for a ticket to see them live.
I mean, say what you like about the Rolling Stones, but like they have a catalogue rich with songs that will appeal to 13-year-olds everywhere. Right? I mean, like, they've just got endless songs that will catch the attention of anybody because they worked in the 60s and they will work right now. So, I mean, it does make sense. I'm fascinated by the idea of there being games sort of celebrating different eras of the Rolling Stones, and I deeply hope that the early 80s Mick Jagger and spandex era is truly covered in Roblox. That's probably my biggest reason for logging in and checking it out. Thanks, Stu. Okay, well, that's it from us this week. Thanks for listening as ever, everyone. If you are enjoying the show, please do spread the word. A like, a follow, or a share really helps us so much. So if you do have time, we would really appreciate it. You can support us as well via Patreon by signing up to become a super fan. And it's not the kind that we were talking about earlier where we're trying to rinse you dry by buying 5 different vinyl covers, versions of the podcast. It just gives you access to our weekly lock-in where you get to stay behind after hours for an extra bit of time every week in our virtual pub. And you can join us as virtual barflies and enjoy an extra 15 to 20 minutes of bonus material. This week, we will be talking about the World Cup halftime extravaganza, alternative good World Cup songs. And Stu, you're going to be talking about the Beta Band, which I'm very excited about. So if that floats your boat, you can become a super fan at patreon.com/thepriceofmusic. The link is somewhere beneath this podcast. Alternatively, we would love to hear from you too. So anything we discussed today that you want to expand on, or if you have any questions about how the music biz works that you'd like explained, do let us know, and we'll set our crack team of research squirrels, that's Stu, onto it, and we'll talk about it in a future episode. So drop us a line with your questions or anything else, really, at thepriceofmusicpodcast@gmail.com. That's thepriceofmusicpodcast@gmail.com. And Stu, you will note that refreshed from our holidays, I got that right first time 2 times.
You did.
That's it. Great to hear from you. If you do get in touch, and thanks for joining us as ever. I've been Joe Sparrow. He's been Stuart Dredge. Farewell.
Goodbye.